Unless you're Trump. That man will literally tell everybody, listen, no taxes for 4 years. I'm building housing and giving it away, and people will still be like, no. Even if he got in and started doing it and wanted to be, let's just say he didn't win the first time he ran. So this would be, let's say in 2024, he was his first time running. He gets in anyway. He does exactly what he said on his campaign trail, and he says, I'm going to do it again for the next 4 years if you reelect me, and nobody's going to believe him because they just don't like him like that. That's how much people hate him. Even though, you know what? Again, it's scary because that's what they tell you. Welcome back to Chocolate Espresso Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Newer. Better float your fancy. I ain't too picky. Y'all, we're going to talk about this border situation.
Man.
I'm going to read you a headline here. U.S. mom goes to Mexico with 2 minors, comes back with 4. What already? I just want your first impression super quick here.
Like she got pregnant that fast? Like
you're giving her the benefit of the doubt. Hey, listen, he nicer than me. I read that headline and knew exactly what happened. I'm gonna read off just a little bit of the passage here. I'm gonna butcher her name, so I'm not even gonna do it. I'm just gonna say her last name, or Velez. You know what? Not even gonna bother. Lady goes to Mexico, says she was gonna go shopping at an outlet right across the border. When she left, she had her 2 children and her husband in the car. Mm-hmm. When she came back, she got stopped at a checkpoint. Some people argue it's unconstitutional. I say no, it's not, but that's just me. When she was stopped, she was asked questions that they normally do. If you don't know what a U.S. checkpoint is, they ask you, are you an American citizen, or is anyone in the car that is an American citizen? Where are you going? Blah, 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 blah. You can also say, hey.
Wait, are people saying that that's unconstitutional?
Yeah, they're saying you can't be pulled over by any federal agent of any kind or government agent unless you committed a crime. They're stopping you to investigate if you are committing a crime.
Right? Yeah, no. Like, they understand the border and the need for people to, like,
what border? They don't want borders.
Let them walk all through.
Let them all come in. We're supposed to be the melting pot and the best example, even though borders have existed since the dawn of civilization. So honestly, I don't know why they acting like it's a thing. Anyway,
it's new.
Don't get me started on that one. Listen, I think everybody should be welcome to the U.S. I absolutely don't think we should be shying away from anybody. But I also think there's a system in place, and it's in place for a reason. I think everybody needs to have the equal opportunity to become a U.S. citizen, and I think it needs to be tracked. And I think it really stems from the ideology of, hey, where are we going to house these people? And if they're getting hotels at nice hotels and we got homeless people on the streets, that's one thing. You already know how I feel about the homeless situation, so don't get me started on that either. But if we can house
too many conversations.
But that's the thing. If we housing people who can't afford to be housed themselves, and we could be doing a lot more towards housing for people who can barely afford to house themselves.
Especially
not
when
those
these
who
people
can't
are,
flat out.
A majority of these people are actual ex-veterans
Bro,
who used to serve the country.
We getting off topic. but no. I understand why people make the argument that the border patrol stopping whatever people miles away from the border is unconstitutional, but I also think they should be, they are strategically placed in other areas because guess what? If you don't understand, I can go a little bit further about this because I like going down rabbit holes. But
let's get to digging.
Let's go to this article real quick and we talk about it. So when she was stopped, she was asked questions, the normal, and she got a little nervous. Now, everybody get a little nervous, you know what I'm saying? Because this person that stopped you can really mess up your life. It ain't going to be that hard. So she got a little nervous. They said, hey, go to checkpoint 2.
Right. Like, you look a little sweaty.
They separated her from her husband. They separated the children from the other children and from the parents. And they asked everybody similar questions. And they found out one of the kids in the back seat. That little boy said, hey, the nice lady in the front seat's supposed to be taking me to an undisclosed location out in Idaho, California. So in other words, them 2 little boys that she came extra with ain't hers. And she was going to get paid an extra $6,000 each to deliver them. So she was about to make $12,000 to pick up some unknown children and just drop them off in some undisclosed location. And that was it. So she was a runner. Or what do you call those? Coyotes?
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about that. The rest of the articles, if you want to see it, go look at News Nation now.
There's so many levels to this. First of all, I feel like in those, like, first of all, that one benefits and actually clarifies why we need security, right? That's a prime reason of why we have border security, but also a reason why we have immigration problems. Because if y'all all want everybody in here, but don't want everybody in here, I'm a little confused. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Nah, you don't want everybody in here, but you want everybody in here. Listen.
And then she was going to drop them off at an undisclosed location in Idaho. Like, what if she was human trafficking?
That's what she's doing. What do you mean? Even hear me out. I don't care what anybody has to say. If you have more than 4 brain cells and don't view this as human trafficking, I don't know what to tell you. Because even let's just say for the benefit of her, she went to go pick up her friend's children from Mexico who don't have a passport,
right?
And can't come here legally,
right?
And she knows them by heart. Maybe she has family in Mexico and that's her friend's cousins. Whatever the case is, let's just assume that she actually knew these children for a while. So it's not a random stranger. It doesn't matter. You trafficked them through the border to an undisclosed location in a different state. Like, that's trafficking.
Like, there's no way
like, don't spin this any other way. Like, did we just get done talking about pedos, little peddlers? Like, wow. Stop trying to color this.
Right, color it as appropriate.
No. I see what's in the lines. I see the whole picture. This is trafficking.
This has got to be trafficking. And for anybody who thinks like, oh, this was just them like immigrating because they needed to or it was family, there's no way, because if you had $6,000 each per kid, you could have got a hotel off Hotwire for $35 a night for about a couple months. Like that wasn't. Listen, the problem wasn't the money.
let me tell you how deep this really gets. It's really surprising when I see. And you know what? This goes for both sides of the political spectrum, Democratic and Republicans, but it does.
And all the other parties we don't care about.
And all the other parties we don't care about. It's really frustrating when you live somewhere on a border where it doesn't matter what they look like, what ethnicity they are, and where it doesn't matter. They're illegally coming through your yard. There are people who literally who houses and their land is butted up against the border, or they're the nearest town, and these people are literally coming in packs, rummaging through your private property, using the bathroom, stealing water from your faucets. You're paying for it. They're doing everything in the third. And you tell your local government, and they say can't do none because of federal government's jurisdiction. And if we do anything, they'll ring us up, they'll fine us, or they'll say we're breaking the law.
Right?
Federal law.
What is it like? That case when like someone like shotgun somebody because they came in the dead of night or something like that. They didn't know if they was getting robbed or something like that. And this was years ago. And they just came out and it was like pow, and it was like a person who I think was like migrating, and they're like, yeah, but you were wrong for that. And he's like, how?
I'm like, how? Wrong? How? Broken in my house.
My private property. And it was like private property. Like he handling his business. He had kids. He had a wife. He heard some big ass raccoon.
What blows me is like, okay, let's just go with the assumption that the person, and I'm not, listen, I'll never say all of them are criminals or anything. No, even though they technically broke the law, which makes them a criminal. But I'm not going to say all of them are criminals. Maybe some of them are scientists, maybe carpenters. Maybe they could be really amazing people in this country. I'm all for it. I'm not against it. I'm saying, why would you not go through the proper channel?
Right.
If you're such a good person, go through the right channel. Right. If I'm going to another country and I want to migrate there, guess what I would do? Go through the right channel. Process. I want to go through it.
Because the process is there to help protect you getting into this environment, this country, this city, this whatever. The whole process is to equip you with the information necessary so you can participate. Yeah. Like that, the whole thing.
I tripled down or quadrupled down on the idea that the system does need to be refreshed.
Yes.
I can recognize that it could be extremely hard to become a legal U.S. citizen because of the tests. Okay. I think it should be a little more laxed. But I also recognize, again, where are you going to house them? How are you going to feed them? Are there enough resources available to make sure that they're housed? And my thing is, I look at what's the priority. Are you going to give that to a bunch of people who decided they just want to migrate here? Or are we going to make sure that the people who are here, born here, who's been here for generation after generation, who since 2000 have absolutely been oppressed of whatever kind, How about we fix some of the issues first before we fix it on the idea of making sure that somebody who just crossed across 2 different countries asking for asylum is getting just as much
as many resources.
Blows my mind.
But then it's not even a balance, because then the people who are born here, which we've already confirmed, are literally legally bound to a portion of the countrywide debt. Like that person, through that alone, is like, all right, you should be priority in. You start off negative, so like now you got to build up to like help out. But then this person comes with nothing but like the clothes on their back, don't speak the language, and you're just like, yeah, you get a full-time job, no questions asked.
Yep. This actually irritates me. Grinds my gears, pisses me off, whatever floats your fancy. But when our governor, if y'all don't know, our governor has been elected as vice president. There is supposed to be whatever. You get the point. He's supposed to be going up. But my thing is, if he can spend enough time to make an emergency order to give people who are seeking asylum or who are going to become Minnesotians or whatever, and get them access to become legally capable of working jobs here, if you can do that as fast as you could, there's no reason why you can't fix other issues in the state. You made a priority for these people.
Yes.
Right? And what I mean by these people, I mean individuals who are coming here to get access to these things, but you can't make it a priority to make sure that the resources are delegated to the ones who are already here for
the people in need.
It's a game. Beat the game.
I've sat down with a lot of, there's these groups that come together. They're black entrepreneurs, black nonprofits. There are black people that are literally there trying to give resources that were already supposed to be given. And they're having a question about, why do we not get, like, these resources are being used up by the hundreds of millions. Why are we not getting it? We've learned about the timing is off. When we find out, it's too late. Stuff will close down. Everybody will have a hand in it before we get there. And we're like, how? These people are literally begging for assistance, need help, and we're not getting it. But yet the country brags about how much resources that we spend here on nonprofits.
Listen to me.
And we're over here like, these people can't pay their rent, and their rent is $500.
Listen to me.
What are you talking about?
Listen to me, brother. Listen, my brother.
Dr. Umar.
Peep game. I keep saying it. Listen, I'll leave it here. I'll leave this political side of it here. I can respect anyone's political opinion. I don't have to agree with you to say I respect your opinion. If you want to have an argument, a conversation, a debate, we can do that. I would say, hey, study up, bring resources. We can have this conversation, but hear me out. If this is why I have a lot of respect for Malcolm X, because he said something similar to, and I'm going to butcher it, which is what I'm saying similar to, why continue to vote for a party that's doing nothing for you? Yeah. They're not really helping you. They're feeding you something.
Yeah.
But now your hand's always out. And then you realize when they're giving you crumbs, and sometimes them crumbs fall through your hand, you get a little irritated. But then you look at the other one and they're saying, well, they're not giving me nothing. They're telling you to pull your boots up by the bootstraps, pull your pants up. Like you can do it. It's not like we can't. We have all the resources available. We're not dumb.
Right.
Come on, man. But what's the easy way out? Can we get this, please?
Apparently, the easy way out is to immigrate out and then immigrate back in and get free.
Just make sure you climb a fence. Man, don't tell nobody you did. Listen, it's crazy. It is crazy to me. Though. Like it really is, and people continue to hype them up. If it really don't make you, if it really isn't scary for you, wake up, listen to 2 seconds. Y'all don't listen to me, but listen to this part. The fact that they say we got to get the black vote. What does that mean? What does that even mean? Like we're 13%. We're not even in like all the swing states. Like what do you mean the black vote? Like why? What is the black vote so important to you? Like, oh, the black people voting for him, so maybe I should vote for him. Like what? I can't I'm tripping up because I don't know what that means. Like, what does it matter what my vote means to anybody else?
Right. I had this small conversation with my assistant manager at my job. And he was like, there's a thin line. And it's like, we need to figure out what that line is. And this is a white man, like talking about topics, right? And he's like, there's a difference between inclusion and exploitation. And that, I feel like that's, like you said, we're 13%. Why does black vote matter to you? Popularity. We have a grip on culture, right? Mm-hmm. But like as far as like numbers game, you tell the country you're lowering taxes, they're voting for you. That's the country. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's the country.
Unless you're Trump. That man will literally tell everybody, listen, no taxes for 4 years. I'm building housing and giving it away, and people will still be like, no. Even if he got in and started doing it and wanted to be, let's just say he didn't win the first time he ran. So this would be, let's say in 2024 he was his first time running. He gets in anyway. He does exactly what he said on his campaign trail, and he says, I'm going to do it again for the next 4 years if you reelect me, and nobody's going to believe him because they just don't like him like that. That's how much people hate him. Even though, you know what? Again, it's scary because that's what they tell you.
Yeah.
But how did he get in the first time?
Right.
Why is he still able to run this time?
Right.
Why is so many Americans vibing with him?
Was he found guilty of flushing U.S. government top secret documents down the toilet? Not effectively, by the way. And convicted of multiple different counts of like literally just like defacing the government position, and then he gets acquitted of all charges.
The man literally slept with an adult actress or entertainer while his actual wife was pregnant. Listen, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Like, and the thing is, but they're trying to force you to believe. Listen. Do I think every politician is as dirty as him? No. Do I think all of them have similarities like him? 100%.
There's something.
They all did something. If it ain't one thing that he's already done, it's going to be multiple things he's already doing. I don't care. This is what I say about politicians. I don't care. Only thing I care about is whether or not they're voting, if they're doing something that's beneficial to me or my community. That's the only thing that matters to me. I can care less what he did with his wife. Do I think it's good morals? Absolutely not. I don't. I really don't. I can't condone it. And if I could vote this person out and impeach them, I would absolutely go on a campaign trail to get that person removed. But that's the thing. Our government is built off of corruption. Yeah. You literally can't get into certain positions without lobbying for money. And that automatically opens the floodgates to corruption.
Literally.
So I'm going to be honest with you.
It becomes a popularity contest, a finance contest, and a socialite. Especially when you're socialite group. That's what it becomes.
Yeah, especially when your party has to help promote you. Like, this is why I'm like, so frankly, I really don't care what they do. I don't care about their moral.
Because it's a closed off door. It's a closed door.
It doesn't matter.
It's not open.
Again, that's why I say the only thing that should matter at this point when it comes to those corrupt individuals is whether or not they're voting for things that are helping your community. Right. Now, find me one that's an angel. Right. Okay, cool. You have my vote. But here's the thing: if you're not doing something for me,
you're not doing your job.
You're not going to have my vote, whether or not you're an angel or not. Like I can't. Right. I can't.
Honestly, I could even respect the person, like, and to a degree, but I can respect a person who is like not on the up and up, whatever. But if they're doing their job, I can not like you, but I gotta respect the fact that you're doing your freaking job. That part, it'd been like, all right, like you over here being a sleazy old dude with your partner, but that's y'all business. Did you pass this bill? Did you read it and did you submit it to your party and try to progress America? Like, like
I would love to see any person who can make a legitimate change for our community. Let's just say, when I say community, the black community, but even adding onto that, the low income community, anyone that makes less than 70,000, because we're living in an economy where that's less. Yeah,
actually,
70,000 is not enough in a lot of cases. In Minnesota, that's still almost paycheck to paycheck. So even if I say 65,000 or less, right? Mm-hmm. Find me one that's like, listen, their argument in courts or in session, whatever, is always going to be, we need more housing. We need to give them out more resources. We have tax money. Let's make sure we delegate it to the right spots. Let's make sure we're advocating for these individuals. Right. Let's see if we can open up new programs.
Right.
I like Let's do that.
I hate to cut you off, but I like the way that my favorite comedian, Trevor Noah, was saying it. He was talking about African people, and he was talking about the corruption in the African government. He's like, y'all keep getting it wrong. Like, y'all keep building 10 houses and you still 10 houses. Build 10 houses, still 8, still 9. Leave 1, leave 2. like give them something. Give them something. And it's like, I feel like our corruption is at that point where it's just like, we don't even care. We don't even trust y'all anyway.
Yeah.
But give us something. Like, give us something so we can do something. So we can at least tune you out and do something.
Yeah, it's not hard, and and that leaves the floodgates to when they continue to say, let them all in, let everybody in. It shouldn't matter. Okay, well, what about all the communities where they're walking through their yards?
They're walking through their yards.
Where are they going? How are we feeding them, housing them? Are they going to be able to equate or not? Are they able to mingle with the citizens that are around them? Are they going to just have pocket communities and only stay in their community?
Right.
And they'll never learn the culture, the language, or any of that. Right. Like you're playing a dangerous game.
And then when we look into the economic value of it, of course, the companies would love to, which is what they did every time so far. We had the problem with Lyft. We had the problem with Uber. We had the problem with these lower income jobs. The jobs that people are working, like we were talking before, like a few podcasts ago, like the gaps are getting varied. Same job, they're paying people less to get it, and inflation's still going up. But these people don't fight back. They don't know, because they're not American. They don't understand the consequences of it. They just know, like, if I work, I get to eat food, drink water, and sleep somewhere, which is played off of because then it's like you can get into that ring all you want to, but then you're going to be stuck there.
There's there was a video from the Philippines, and the guy, all he does is just walks around like different countries, but right now he's in the Philippines, and he was like, all he does is just record, right? And you can see like the difference. Like he was like, oh, this is a beautiful neighborhood, right? Like it's like at Beverly Hills, right? And then you go 2 blocks over and you can see the like, okay, that's really Beverly Hills. Like, yeah, it's still neighborhood. But he's in the Philippines, and it's like he's walking around. There's some like very beautiful women. There's a very beautiful culture. There's very beautiful looking men. Right. Whatever the case, like there's nice. And then the next video you can see like. It's kind of like when you imagine India, but like the absolute worst trash. Yeah, same thing. They got houses that are built out of cardboard and all kinds of stuff. And you're like, okay, that doesn't really exist in America. Like one that would never pass inspection.
No.
And like would, it might take some time, but they'll shut that down.
No.
And I love the comment sections in these videos because they'll tell you like, here in the U.S., we often think of poverty like that. Like we see our homeless people and we're like, okay, that's poverty. Like that's bad. Right. Gotta fly in this freaking place.
Right. Messed up homes, people jerry rigging tents to live out of.
And he's like, people don't realize that tent is actually better than people who are legitimately living in poverty in some of these other countries. And that's partly why they left. That's why they're coming here. Not to say that all the countries that they're coming from, this fly is really getting crazy.
No, for
not to say that the people who are coming from countries to the U.S. all live like that.
Right.
Sure, some of them come from legitimate houses. Some of their houses are actually bigger than ours. But the thing is that the standard of living is different.
Yeah.
It's not the same. And the reality of it, as far as I'm concerned, is like, okay, well, you're here now. And frankly, I think the resources that should be going to you should be going to the people that are here first.
Right.
When we have enough housing for everybody, food resources for everybody, the economy is better for everybody, I say absolutely. Let everybody in, make sure it's tracked, it's right, and all that other stuff. But then let whoever wants to be here in. Sure. We're not there.
Right. I mean, the whole American culture is about work your way in anyway. Right. It's not like these people are going to get here and get free food. We already know they're going to get charged and taxed. Like, get you a few of them tax returns that are a little smaller than you expected. Get a few stripes on your shirt. But yeah, like in that order of operation, you're already here. You should have been taking advantage. But then don't tell me work hard. Yeah. Your life is your life. And then you're like, oh yeah. But because we're up here in the clouds and y'all are on the ground in comparison, whatever decisions we make that affect your lives and affect competitiveness and affect the influence and cultural switches and cultural blends, don't worry about that though.
I'll leave you on this note. I feel like we did stray a little bit. we were semi in topic though. If people, when I say y'all, I mean the internet, whatever. But if y'all don't understand this, let me share with you another article from the New York Times, and it was in New York around what's that thing? Thanksgiving.
Oh,
If you remember that when we had that conversation, it was on the pod. Check out season 1 if you want to find it. I forgot what episode it is, but there was a community, a black community, low income community in New York. For y'all who don't know, New York is a state. There's a city called New York.
There's a city called New York.
In that city, in that small little town within New York, they used to get free food for Thanksgiving, and they had the food as a classic turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, all that stuff. Very classic, very basic. But they had that for like 10 years or something like that. Feel free to quote me on it, but it's been a decade.
Right.
Well, because the state decided it was going to be the go-to point to house immigrants who came from Texas and Arizona, they bust them from one end of the country all the way to the other, put them in that low-income black community where they were getting these resources, and the nonprofits that were feeding the community said, hey, we have people who aren't from here and their tastes are going to be different. So we have to change what we're feeding people today. So they did. They changed the menu, which isn't anywhere near classic to what Thanksgiving food was. And because the immigrants, because they knew what it was happening, guess what they decided to do? They lined up at like 5 a.m., which is an exaggeration. I think it was like 8 a.m. or something like that. They didn't start feeding people until like 10, 11. But they lined up hours in front, like ahead of when like schedule, took all the food from the locals, and the locals didn't get any of the food that was delegated towards, it was created for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they took it. They changed the food palette to suit someone else's needs. And then they absolutely took advantage of it and took the food away from people who were in that community, to the point where they were on the news saying, like, years ago, like literally as of last year, you could show up at like 10, 10:30, 11 and get in line, and there would always be food, and it was good. Now they lined up like 4 hours early, and then they all took the food. There was no food left.
It was all gone.
Now you could say, oh, that's the nonprofit's fault for not having enough food. Well, the nonprofit did this for that community.
The nonprofit still did their job, and the state is not going to reimburse
I think
the
they failed.
nonprofit.
I won't say that they did their job. I will not. No, they failed because and that's the thing. I think if the government's going to house individuals who came here the way that they do I would say they came through the back door, you're gonna house them, you're gonna feed them. Do not give them the same resources that communities
in need are in need.
Like those nonprofits and those communities banded together. Somebody did, said, hey, there's something lacking here. They created something to fill that gap,
to answer that,
and it was for that exact purpose and that purpose alone. When you add a third party into the mix to the point where now this entity has to pivot to make sure that they're catering to them, that nonprofit just lost what they meant to do in the first place.
Right. They're not servicing the audience that they said that they were intentionally going to service. The only reason why I was saying like I didn't blame the nonprofit was because their whole perspective was like, we have to feed the people. Now, unless you're going to let them deny like we're feeding hungry people, but not y'all. Listen. I feel like that's when it's going to get a little hard, because our country doesn't do a good job of differentiating that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you going to say? Like, you're not the ethnic group that we're charging. Oh, so this food's just for black people? You know what? Yes.
Absolutely.
But the country's not going to ever say that, right? Because they don't ever want us to give us anything directly for us. Right?
But again, like that's part of, if that's the problem or part of the problem, then point that out. Say that's part of the problem.
Right.
Listen, I wouldn't care if I started a nonprofit and it was to feed low income communities,
right,
and it was designated for this specific community,
right,
and the government decided that they were going to go Rambo and put a couple 100 people into this extra community
that wasn't included,
that would not cater to this exact program. I'm not changing my program for that. I would tell the government, hey, I realize you did this, I'm cool,
but no thank you.
But you got to have either give me more money so I can open up a separate part to make sure I'm also catering to that group, or realize you need to find another nonprofit that's going to work with
that's dedicated for that,
because I'm not like, and especially if it was a black community and my whole purpose of this nonprofit was to service that demographic. Right. and there's somebody who is not of that demographic, I'm looking at you crazy.
Right. No, actually, you're valid, because in Minnesota, I was going down a list of nonprofits, and there was like a bunch of Asian nonprofits that were focused on servicing the Asian community, and I remember I had called them to ask them for something that I needed, but they were just on a list. They're like, there was this specific service that they also provided, and they're like, yes, thank you for inquiring, but unfortunately, we don't initially serve. You're not the audience that we didn't initially serve. If we were to send you to another location, we would say to go and try someone who's targeting your community, and there's whatever. I was actually told that. Like, I was actually denied. And
they have no problem saying it.
They will let you know. Nah, Nick.
Listen, nah. Listen. Look at me. Camera, look at me. I don't blame anybody for saying, like, be blunt.
No,
own it. And I have no issues with that. Listen,
because you know your community struggles and you're helping them. I can't be mad about that at all.
I'm gonna fight this fly.
This fly is.
We go fight this fly. What about black people always fighting insects? This is why, because they act like they own the place.
The flies, man.
But that's real. Like, I have no animosity against anybody who, especially if they're serving their ethnic group.
Right.
I don't care if they're white serving whites. I don't care if they're black serving black. I don't care. I frankly don't. I own it. Own it. Don't be honest.
Right.
I made this for them. This is for us.
No offense, but I made this for my people. Like,
cool. No problems. Right. It's frustrating, but like you said, it's frustrating where if these resources are available and we're the last to hear about it. Now this is my end arguments. My question is it like that because we aren't aware of it? Mm-hmm. It's not to say that they ain't, like, maybe somebody's telling others and we just don't get the memo, the email, the letter, whatever, the call. But why are we not aware of it?
Right. Right.
And that goes to show, like, are we out here really getting it? Do we really want it?
But then also when it comes as a we're in North is considered progressive. I don't believe that. But if you're a black person serving black people, there is always like this weird look you get when you're like, nah, I'm just helping my people. But I do wish you the best in all your endeavors. They look at us like we got three heads. Like, nah, like, what do you mean?
That's because we're supposed to be forgiving. We're supposed to just forgive and forget.
To give access.
Like, it's okay.
So that part when you talking earlier about, like, take count is like, is it the government doing wrong, or like, but the resources, the conversations, the resources, like, are we really standing 10 toes down on we're helping ourselves until we can help other people?
Oh, yeah.
And even if other people look at us like we're crazy, we stick to that. A lot of us, that's a whole nother conversation, man. That's a whole nother conversation. But, a lot of us, are trying to still fit in to the melting pot of America. And so everything we do is for everyone else, even if we know that there's things going on in our community. Yeah. But that's, again, a whole nother conversation. But let's wrap it up.
Remember that again, last notes, but that also goes back to that conversation of how selfish can you be?
Right.
Like, there's...
At what point do you draw the line?
Because again, like, if there was a nonprofit that was completely backed by the government and let's say it was a black-owned bank, so the money was going there, but if you had a subscription-based donation nonprofit that would say, okay, we get to like $400,000 from donations from black individuals,
right?
And we can confirm that. We also take donations from whoever, but we're looking to get donations from us, and the goal is to get that to be matched by the government or the bank, and it allows us to build condos, not apartments,
right?
But if we do apartments, but it would help to back the nonprofit to help build more resources for the black community.
Right.
But the goal would be to get it backed, build resources for the black community, give those resources back to us.
It's not about being lavish right now. It would be about quantity.
Yeah.
And quantity and quality of life. Like, let's get you a place that's not lead paint, rat infested, insects. Like, we get it checked. We're watching it, monitoring it. You causing problems, you're out. You working with us, we work with you. You
see what I'm saying? Like, would you donate?
Right.
If dollar donations to as high as you want, but it's like $1, $5, $10, $15 every month. But the goal is to get the bank to match whatever or to give us discounts, whatever. But we want to build resources. How many of us would donate?
Right.
And I look at people and I go, if you buying a pack of miles from the corner store. You buying one bottle of any alcohol from the liquor store.
Gin, Hennessy.
You buying any pair. If you buy 2 pairs of shoes in 1 month, I'm gonna look at you like you could have donated to that. you could have helped make this reality.
Right.
Like, and I would
even then,
like, come on.
Like, what's $1 to 300,000 people? Right. That's $300,000. Like, they can find something to do with
And we
that.
got a couple of million, so
Right.
Like, albeit like 1 million of us is in jail. That's not funny.
You said that pipeline got him.
The pipeline got him. They ain't getting no help, no chance. But serious though, I mean, like, there's a couple million of us. So, like, I feel like just
But then there's also
dollar,
some successful versions of us too. Like some of us who really could donate in the place of 1,000 people, right?
I would love, like, hey,
Essentially, this is what the churches are supposed to be doing. But
that church stepped away a long time ago.
We're going. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching Chocolate Espresso Podcast. We out.